Welcome to the channel. On today's episode, we tackle a 2017 Dodge Journey valve cover gasket job. It is a I want to say a 3 point, it's not a 3.5, it is a V6, but I believe it's a 2.4. I could be wrong, I don't know, I'll double check it, but it is a valve cover job. We're going to tackle it. This is the vehicle, and this is what we got to take off, and we're going to get to it. So I'm going to put you guys on a time lapse, get everything set up, and I'll see you guys in a few. Okay, so what we are doing, pulling off this manifold so that we can get to one in here and one in here. Making sure most of these bolts are off, and then there's a couple back here I gotta get to. Once we get this off, and there's one here, so I gotta move this to get to this last bolt, and then I got two back here that sits on a bracket. So let me grab my panel popping tool and pop this off. Come on, don't troll me today. Don't troll me in front of all the great people watching. Sometimes gotta grab your little pocket screwdriver like this, kind of get in there and pry up. There's a little pin on this plastic panel that I'm trying to pry up. Once I get it up just enough, I can go ahead. There we go. Pop it up. Get it out. And that should pull this out the way just a little bit. Move this clip. Move that. And then I believe this sits. Let's go ahead and move this throttle body connector out of the way, because that got to come off anyway, along with that. And this trusty screwdriver, pop that loose, got it. Pull this off, that out the way, and then we're going to move that. Just moving stuff here, getting stuff off of the manifold, because the manifold has to come off, such as this hose here, vacuum hose. There's another one back here that has to be moved. This is for the brake booster. And then I can get to the air box. I don't have to take the box completely out. I just have to move the hose. So I believe it is a, is it an 8? Nope, it is a, oh yeah, it's an 8. So we'll break that loose. We break this one loose. And this should just come off like so. There we go. I have a table right where you guys are, so If you see me walking out of the camera, I'm putting everything on that table. I would bring it back here, but I'm lazy. I don't feel like it. Kind of just left it there because I have more space there. I got this last bolt, and I got 1, 2 back here, and I believe these are 10s. Grab my 10. I'll put it. And take these off. This one. And this one right here. I would normally use my power tools, but all the batteries are dead because I haven't charged them in a while. So I'm letting those charge. And this should pop up like so. And it should come loose. This is the beauty of this thing, which sits just in a, let's see if I can pull it forward. Got it. And this, there we go. Manifold is off. Sitting on the table. You know what? I'm gonna slide the table over here because I don't feel like walking over there. It's being lazy. So I'll be back. And we're back. So I got the table behind me. I need to pull this up. There is it just sits in a little, like it's just pushed on, and that just comes off like that. One of my favorite tools to use, just panel popper. So now, pull this off, move these wires out the way, and grab a rag. Why? Because as you take the manifold off, you don't want anything to fall into the intake manifold. It just will be detrimental. So, I'll show you guys what I'm doing. So now that I got all of this out the way, now I can get to these two. I can start prepping to take those off. And the only issue that I'm having, I don't have my parts. It's the only problem. I don't have my parts. Stay camera. Sorry, you know, I'm gonna just hold it. I do not have my parts, and so I'm waiting for my parts to get here. But I could start prepping to taking the manifold off. I have enough towels to pull a lot of this stuff off, just to get it out of the way, and prep to start cleaning the valve cover until the valve cover gaskets get here. So that's what I'm waiting for. Once that gets in, maybe I'll put you guys on a time lapse and start pulling apart the valve cover and stuff like that, prepping to have them cleaned. I'll do, you know, little minor cleaning and replace them with the new gaskets when they get here. Until then, I'll catch you guys back in a bit. All right, we are just about ready to take the first valve cover off. So most of the bolts loose, and I don't think they come all the way out, just come up enough to be able to take. There we go. Get most of it loose. Got this side down here. So there's a total of 12 bolts per, what is this thing, valve cover? I had a brain fart. 12 bolts per valve cover, and which makes 24. I can count. So once you get all of them loose, I should be able to pull this up. One here, and we should be good. Should be. Let's see. Take a little flat head and just gently pry in areas. You don't want to damage the mating surface. You just want to pry just a little bit. Make sure I'm not missing any. Nope. Okay. Just pry. Just keep prying. There we go. Back and forth. Gonna do that. Okay. Should be able to pry here. Got that side loose, and now for this side, find an area that I can pry on. I normally would use a plastic pry, but I can't find any of my plastic pry. This is what happens when you let people use your tools and they don't return them. So, which means I should always have 2 or 3 sets just in case. So this side is loose. I wonder if I gotta remove this. I think I do. Maybe. Just maybe. Okay. All right, let me do some research, because there is a component here on the top, and I'm wondering if I have to remove it to take the valve cover off. So give me a moment to do some research. It is my first time doing one on a 2017, so let me make sure I have all of the information before I break something. So that's the last thing I want to do. So I was right. Let me show you. There is this mechanism, this piece right here, which sits in here. Sorry, sits in there, and it bolts to that down in there. So that has to come off in order to get this off. Once you get that out, you just kind of pry it a little bit, wiggle it, and it comes off. So, continuing with what I was doing, this should just come up. Make sure nothing falls in. Get this off. Wiggle it around a little bit. And that comes off. And there you have it. It is filthy. It is dirty. It was leaking oil a little bit. Yeah. So, this definitely needs to be cleaned. And then I need to clean the mating area. And then cover up these valves. Because I have not received my parts yet. So I'm a little angry at that. Well, not really. I'm not angry at it. I thought they would be here already. Because my customer dropped her car off at 8:30 this morning. And the parts won't be here until 12 Pacific Standard Time, by the way, because I am in California, home of the really super high gas prices. No, but yeah, she dropped the car off at about 8:30, and I was waiting for the parts. Normally when I order the parts, I have a commercial account with O'Reilly's, and normally when I order parts with them, if I order them in the morning, they normally get here really quick because they're just up the street from me. So I guess they didn't have the part in stock, and they had to go and get it from another store, and so they won't have it until 12:45 my time, which sucks, because I would have been done with this job before 1 o'clock. So it's not hard. It's real easy. You just gotta, I know on these you have to move a lot of stuff out the way just to get to the valve covers, and we should have did this when I did the tune-up on it. We should have just went ahead and did the valve covers as well. I normally, when I recommend spark plugs, depending on mileage, I would say, depending on mileage, I would say replace your valve covers too, because the seal gets old and brittle and dirty, and it just doesn't seal anymore. And so it should be changed. At how many thousand miles? I can't tell you right off the back. I can look it up. I do have software, and I know every manufacturer is different. So some of them, will say change it at this amount of miles. Others will say, change it sooner, or, well, I wouldn't say change it sooner, but it goes based on mileage. And there's also, visual inspection of if you see any leakage coming from the valve covers. So that is my opinion, especially if you have a lot of oil on your spark plugs. When you do your spark plugs, that means the seal is not sealing anymore, and the valve cover should be replaced. So I'm going to cover her valves up so that dirt doesn't get in. I've already cleaned the mating surface. I'll start prepping the other side, and then when the parts get here, I can start cleaning the valve cover and getting those prepped, so when the parts get here, I can just throw them on and be done. So it's not a difficult task if you take your time and you do it right and you pay attention to what you're doing. I've learned that rushing doesn't help when you're rushing and try to get things done and you're rushing, you may miss something. I always tell people, take your time, do it right, pay attention to what you're doing. If you need to take pictures of the job before you start taking things apart, so you have a visualization on, I guess on paper, but on photo, so you have a reference to go back to say, okay, this went there. I used to do that a lot. I still do sometimes, take pictures, especially if it's something that I've never worked on before. I like to take a lot of pictures of, before I start and while I'm in process of removing stuff, so I have reference to what I'm doing. So it's a good habit to have. Take pictures or pay attention to what you're doing. When you're rushing, you make mistakes. I've been there, I've done it, and it's cost me, some money, and it's something that you don't want to do. So, especially on your own vehicles, you want to take your time. And I know I'm rambling on, so I'll shut up now. But yeah, you want to take your time when you're doing stuff like this, especially when it's close to the valves and things like that, because you don't want to get any debris, large or any small debris in here. You want to make sure that it's clean of any debris. So in the meantime, we'll take a quick break. Waiting for parts. They should be here soon. I'll go take a small little break, and then I'll come back and start on the second portion of the valve cover, or the other side of the valve cover, and start prepping to take that off and things like that. So I like to do them one at a time, so that way things don't get mixed up. But this seems pretty straightforward, so I can at least start prepping to take this one off and getting it prepped and cleaned for the new gasket as well. So we'll be back after these brief commercials. No commercials, but we'll be back.